Welcome again. I'm honored to be here today. This is a great day that we're experiencing. I just had the privilege of sitting in on the videotaping of B. Donnelly, one of our treasured teachers at Merritt High School during our class years. Our friend Paul Moak, who has been leading the charge on doing the videos and putting together this reunion, our workhorse who's done all the good hard work, he and Jean, has asked me to introduce a couple of special people today, and it's my privilege to do so. I'm going to try to hurry through this because I don't want to take any time away from the special guest. But first of all, our special guest is my friend Trudy Little Powers, who has been a dear friend of mine for well over 50 years, and someone whose friendship I have treasured during that time. Trudy, of course, is married to David Powers, one of our classmates as well. They live in Brandon. They have 3 kids, 3 grandkids. Trudy is an educator. She's been at Jackson Prep for many years and is now the principal at junior high school. Dave is a psychologist here in Mississippi who practices in the Jackson area. There's also another real special person that is with us today that Trudy will be talking to in just a moment. This guy is kind of our leader and our guide, our counselor, our friend throughout our years at Merritt High School, and that's James Merritt, who was our principal during that time. Mr. Merritt came to Merritt in 1955 as the first football coach that we had at Merritt High School. He, in 1961, took over as principal and served there until 1979, so quite a time. If you were in the class of 1967 and you ever went to Merritt High School, then this guy was your principal during that time. So I'm going to ask Trudy now, if she will. She's going to have some questions for Mr. Merritt. Trudy?
Thank you, Dale. Mr. Merritt, thank you. We appreciate your time today. There's so many things I'd like to ask you, but I thought we could start first with, I have had an insight into the way the faculty at Merritt was highly motivated, and I want to ask you the role of the faculty in that level of excellence that every Merritt student would strive for. And my mother was an English teacher, and because of that, I knew what was going on in the inside in my house, and I know how many hours she put forth to get her lesson plans done. As the principal of a school that is so highly spirited and high achieving, can you tell us what it was like for you?
Staff is one of the vital parts that makes a great school. A great school is made up of good students, of staff, outstanding teaching staff and staff, supportive community. We had all of those qualities that make for a good school to start with. And then when we get this group of teachers who are the beginning teachers in this school, they set the pattern for a lot of things. And one of those qualities was pride. I don't know of anything that developed a great spirit in the school at Merritt than the feeling of pride. Not by just staff, but by the students. And just to be able to remember a few of those and think about a few of those is a great feeling. And remembering is something that we all can do and be a part of, and it's a great feeling.
Well, I knew that we had that, and the high spirit. I mean, I always remembered we were always raring to go, you know, and we wanted to achieve. And we did that in every area. Help me, what areas do you remember? I know academics, of course, athletics.
It carried the whole aspect of a school, the makeup of the school. And to get the feeling that I want to be a part of the best, and the feeling of pride they had gave you the basis for establishing an outstanding school situation. And we're fortunate that we had that feeling, and it didn't make any difference where it was in athletics or in drama or all the other qualities that go with it. Merritt High School just happened to be in that great situation.
I remember the Merritt Singers. You know, we had plays, we had talent on the stage, the resume, the yearbook, the hoofbeat, newspaper. I mean, everything that we were involved in, we all had that drive toward excellence. So I know what you mean. It is pride in your school and pride in what you produce.
That's right.
And I think that was what made up Merritt in those days.
And then when we began to get recognition because of our success in the exams, the federal exams,
National
and
Merit.
when Merritt recognized as one of the top schools anywhere, all of those things played a part in developing that spirit in the school.
Right.
And I know I had contact from schools away from I want to know why in the world we have that many National Merit Scholars.
Yeah.
They wanted to know, and particularly one of those calls came from Bronx High School in New York City, a Merritt school for math and science outstanding students. And whoever this minister was wanted to know how in the world we had so many National Merit Scholars.
It's quite a compliment.
And it wasn't hard for me to tell him,
Yeah.
and I thought it was great.
Yeah, it really is. I guess success breeds more success, and we just wanted more and more. Athletics was another area that we were unusually strong in.
Well, track particularly in the early years. Most schools didn't put any emphasis on track. They would take football players and the football coach tell them, I want you to run track. But we got the feeling at Merritt that we wanted to excel, and we worked at it. And in those first few years when other schools were struggling, we were involved in state records and Big 8 conference records. At one time we had 8 out of 13 state records at one time.
Wow.
And it was because we worked at it and made it a priority. And it was a quality that we enjoyed and really value.
Yeah, I remember that
Now,
one.
by the way, everything was not positive.
Tell me
I
some
was
negative.
interested in, now this is a few years, not to be anywhere here yet, but I remember the boys' toilet, Paul, on the second floor was a large boys' toilet and kind of out of circulation. And if things were going to occur that was kind of off base, they were probably either planned in that toilet or took place in that toilet. Well, the assistant principal, Mr. Bill Pleasant, and I realized that, and we would supervise that area a little more closely, especially during busy time. I remember we used to go that way, and smoke would be coming out of the doors and all, and they always had their system of spying and keeping up with everybody. And I remember one time we went in there, and it was just loaded with students, boys. And for some reason or another, all of a sudden we realized that there was not anyone in there but Mr. Bill Pleasant and me. We were in there, just the two of us. But we had put a deadbolt lock on the boys' room door in case we needed to lock it. And while we were there, we realized there wasn't anybody but just the principal and assistant principal. And we looked, and all of a sudden we heard this click. That click, which meant that they had found some way to get the room to the lock to their toilet. They locked us, the principal and assistant principal were locked up in the toilet on a second floor where you couldn't get out, no way to get out. Well, Mr. Pleasant and I began to search a little bit about what to do. We decided that next door to this boy's toilet was a storage room. And if I could get Mr. Pleasant up over that deal far enough to get into that storage room, he could get out. Well, so I hoisted him up. He got over that old elevator into that storage room. He had his keys, and he unlocked the door. Well, what should we do? Well, the one thing that the students would want us to do was to make a big kick out of it. That's exactly what they would want. But we decided that we would not say a word about it. We didn't say a word. We knew also that if we heard someone talking about it, we'd know they would know something about it. So then we had a little information. So we went for a long time without anything coming from that deal. And at a gathering several years after that, they called me and Bill Pleasant up to the mic, and they handed us the keys that supposedly locked in boy's toilet. So all of the incidents are not pleasant, but I know this, that if you take a good attitude, it's not wrong to have a lot of development taking place. What's wrong is that if it becomes vandalistic. Now, when it becomes destroying something like that, then we need to be aggressive and do anything about it. But we had a great situation with that, and that's just one thing to show that not everything was blood.
Right, that's right, that's right. Can you tell us anything about Mrs. Myers in the office, the attendance clerk?
Mrs. Grace Myers was our attendance clerk. She was a long-time resident of North Jackson, knew a lot of people. She was our attendance clerk, and she should have been an honorary member of the FBI. She knew everybody. She knew what the situation was. She kept up with them. I remember one time we had a young man that had a bad siege. I mean a serious siege. And we got word to Ms. Myers to check and see where the parents wanted us to try to take him to what hospital. In the meantime, we were trying to keep him from damaging himself or hurting himself. And we went toward the front of the building. By that time, the ambulances and so forth began to come. Well, of course, being on that classroom side of the building at that time, students were watching and so forth. The ambulance came, and we were about to get the young man on the ambulance deal, and looked, and here came Ms. Myers. She had a piece of paper in her hand and waving that piece of paper. Well, we knew what it was. She was telling us where to take the kids to school. But the students didn't know what it was. And I heard some of them say, "Good golly, look there. Ms. Myers won't even let them go to the hospital without giving them a dismissal." So she was waving that deal. So that really was one of the pluses that made things good for us. But we had a good attendance situation, and a lot of it came from Ms. Myers.
I remember her well. And she did do a good job. I do remember that about Ms. Myers, that she was tough, wasn't she? Well, is there any other area that we have not talked about that you would like to mention?
Well, from my standpoint, of course, my background was athletics and so forth along in that. And for me to be as involved in the academic area and stressing that area and working with teachers and students, trying to make it a positive thing, was an area that was new to me, but it was something that I enjoyed getting involved in. And my association with the students and with teachers and with others as individuals, that was part of the big things about the school. I might not have been the strongest administrator in some areas, but I love the students and I love the school. And I know, as introductory person said, I was there 24 years. I did not miss a Merritt football game in 24 years.
It's amazing.
Not one single game. Either I was coaching or else I was principal and kind of needed to be there. So my attitude was participation, being involved, and encouraging the students in every way. And that was part of it.
Well, and you were a good leader. You led by example, and you didn't have to get out and make a big to-do out of anything unless it was necessary. But you led your faculty very strongly. I know that firsthand.
Well, that's one of the things that makes for a good school.
Yeah,
You've got to have good
it
teachers.
does. That's right.
And we were fortunate in that when Merritt opened, we had about a third of the teachers that had been down at Central High School. And then we were able to get some people that were interested in teaching, wanted to teach, and were good at it. And when you get that togetherness and feeling of togetherness and teamwork, working together to make things the best, that's one of the big things that makes a school great.
Oh, that's right.
And we had that deal. We had so many good qualities that made for an outstanding school situation. And for me to be a part of that was absolutely unreal.
Well, you certainly did a great job. And I know that you were the first football coach at Merritt High School. And
Well, don't
so-
ask me how many games we won. The first year at Merritt, I had one Letterman,
Did
and he was the third string center down at Central, Brent Johnston. And to be involved in the schedule that we had and play with the people that we had was quite a challenge.
Yeah, right.
And the number of games won and lost showed it. Everybody wanted to play us on homecoming.
Well, you brought him a long way. So, well, Mr. Merritt, thank you for your time today. It's just been great getting reacquainted with you. And I feel that it's really my privilege. And I thank you for all those many years that you were our leader. And I think you did a super job.
Well, I appreciate it very much. It's been a plus for me. And remembering some of the leaders in the class of 37 is great, because those classes that have a strong leadership are going to be the ones that really are going to get things done. And that class, your class, was one of
We
those
had it,
classes.
didn't we? Yes.
And one of the
Thanks
dudes,
to
one of the
Della.
dudes is behind this camera over here.
Yeah, that's right, Paul Moak.
That's right.
Well, we need to mention too, and I want to make sure you know the invitation is there for you on June 9th, 10th, and 11th in 2017. We'll have our 50th reunion. So the plans are in the works, and I also want to say thank you to Paul and to Dale for your help with all that you've done. And Mr. Merritt, I'm going to call you about that time to see if you'd like to go.
Well, I've been to a lot of them. That's encouraging.
Well, they never get old, though, do they?